Hello friends, welcome to Ollantaytambo, one of the most important and best preserved Inca sites in Peru and all of South America. Ollantaytambo was far more than just a fortress. It was a royal estate, ceremonial center, and military stronghold. In this video, I will show you the enormous mountain fortress with its preserved terraces, temples, fountains and canals. I visited early in the morning this time, so the marketplace in front of the archaeological site is mostly empty, but by the afternoon it is very busy. The archaeological site is very busy with tourists in the afternoon. It is located in a town. They call it last living Inca Town, with its preserved Inca foundations and system of canals. I will be making separate videos about the town. In this video we will concentrate on the archaeological site, which is extremely important, and it's probably second only to Machu Picchu. Here we can see the enormous terraces, and as I learned during my guided tour, the Incas built their structure on top of older pre-Inca structure, and the guide explained to us that the Inca walls are easily discernible from the pre-Inca walls. Here, as we can see, these walls, the stonework is imperfect and using mortar, which is in direct contrast to Inca walls that were cut perfectly to fit into each other without the use of mortar. The stones were just perfectly cut. The massive stone terraces rising up the mountainside served both agricultural and defensive purposes. They stabilized the steep slopes, prevented erosion, and allowed the Inca to grow crops at different microclimates, an advanced form of environmental engineering centuries ahead of its time. As you can see, these walls are quite tall, perhaps up to 12 feet tall, and we can see from this stonework that these are pre-Inca, the terraces. See how the stonework is imperfect? These terraces are quite immense. The site itself is very extensive, and it would require at least a couple of days to thoroughly explore the whole site. I visited on two separate occasions, once with a guide in the afternoon and once in the morning, so I had time to explore the site with my own pace. The structure on the slope, on the opposite slope, served as food storage.
Do you know what a tambo means, guys? ¿Qué es un tambo, chicos? Tambo significa lugar de descanso. Tambo means resting place.
The guide explained to us the history of the place.
They used to build many tambos along the Inca Trail for travelers spend the night in that places. Today, like a shelters, hostels, you know? Chicos, o sea, un tambo eran los lugares que los incas construyeron.
Ollantaytambo is located in the sacred valley of the Incas, about 50 miles northwest of Cusco. Ollantaytambo was built during the height of the Inca Empire, during the reign of Pachacuti, the most important Inca ruler who transformed Cusco into the heart of a vast empire. The Incas built Temple of the Sun on top of the hill, and a military fortress. Now we are looking at the fortress. These stones are Inca. These walls are Inca. We can see how perfectly the stones fit into each other without the use of mortar. These are typical Inca walls that you can see throughout the Sacred Valley. These terraces are just enormous. Ollantaytambo is one of the largest archaeological sites and one of the best preserved ones. Here in the Sacred Valley, there are several large archaeological sites, which all of them are worth visit. But Ollantaytambo is special because next to the archaeological site, you have the town of Ollantaytambo, which they call the last living Inca town. See how impressive and immense this site is. When the Spanish arrived, the population of Ollantaytambo didn't go anywhere. The people that live in the town are descendants of the Incas. They adopted Spanish language and Christian religion, but they are the Quechua Indians. Some of them still speak Quechua, but Spanish is prevalently spoken. Also, the town is used by many tourists to catch a train to Machu Picchu. It is about 1.5 hour train ride from Ollantaytambo to Machu Picchu. Here on top of the hill stands the Temple of the Sun, which was constructed from enormous pink granite blocks. The blocks were hauled from quarries on the opposite side of the valley. Each stone was precisely shaped and fitted without mortar. See how enormous these blocks are? And it is a mystery how they hauled these enormous blocks across the valley and uphill, because the Inca didn't know wheel. See how enormous these blocks are and how precisely they are cut? Actually, it is also another mystery. How were they able to cut and fit these blocks together? Because they didn't know steel, they didn't know iron. So how were they able to cut these stones? Nobody knows. This is what remains of the Temple of the Sun. This footage was shot in the morning, so the site was almost empty, which was great because in the afternoons it gets very crowded. We are looking at the Urubamba Valley now and the surrounding Andes, high mountains. The elevation at this spot is about 3,200 meters, which is a little bit lower than Cusco. Cusco is 11,000 feet, which is 3,500 meters. This is a little bit lower. Just for comparison, Machu Picchu is lower still. Machu Picchu is about 2,800 meters. So at this high elevation, it takes some time to acclimate. You get easily winded climbing up these hills if you're not acclimated. This is what remains of the fortress. Ollantaytambo played a crucial role during the Spanish conquest. In 1536, it became the site of the only major Inca victory over Spanish forces, led by the warrior ruler Manco Inca. Using the terrace landscape to his advantage, he flooded the plains below and forced the conquistadors into retreat. However, after this victory, the Incas abandoned Ollantaytambo because they knew the Spanish would be coming back with reinforcements. So the Incas moved more inland into the rainforest, into the Amazon jungle, where they survived for another few decades. Unlike many Asian sites, Ollantaytambo is not a ruin frozen in time. It is a living Inca town. The original street layout, stone foundations and water channels are still in use today, making it one of the oldest continuously inhabited settlements in the Americas. And like I said, I will be making separate videos of the town. The town is absolutely fascinating, and you will love the video. Here is one of the temples. The Incas, they were masters of moving water. So there are sacred wells and channels. And it is an interesting point that there is a system of canals running through the city of Ollantaytambo. Virtually every street has a canal that was built by the Incas, and it is still in use today. This site is enormous. And it is definitely worth visiting. Also, another important point is that although Peruvian food is excellent, there is excellent food throughout Peru, the very best food I had was here in the town of Ollantaytambo. Literally, there are some Michelin star quality restaurants in town. Very high-end dining. There was excellent food in Cusco, excellent food in Lima, but Ollantaytambo blew me away with the food and with this archaeological site, and most of all, the town itself, the preserved Inca town. In fact, this site is so impressive that even though I visited Ollantaytambo on 2 separate occasions during my stay, I know I will be coming back. I'm already planning my trip back to visit not only Ollantaytambo, but other archaeological sites in the Sacred Valley. There are so many of them. When you're in the area, you definitely have to explore Cusco, which is the former capital of the Incas. Of course, Machu Picchu, it's a mandatory trip with absolutely breathtaking scenery. But there are also sites like Pisac, which is another mountain fortress, absolutely grand. There are the salt mines, town of Chichero. There are so many sites that are worth visiting, and they all blew me away. And of course the mountains. The mountains are just breathtaking. And on my next trip I will be doing some serious hiking in the area. These are, as you can tell, these are not Inca walls. These are pre-Inca. You can see the imperfect stonework. By imperfect, I mean imperfect compared to the Inca walls. Thank you so much for watching my video. Please hit like and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next videos.